Hello, hello. Oh, there we go. So thank you, everyone. I'm Julie Webb. I'm with Digium, and I have the pleasure of introducing BiCom this afternoon. They're going to be talking, actually, kind of two sessions here. One is how to increase profits, and the second one is how to improve customer loyalty. So first up, we have Stephen Wingfield, and he will take you through his presentation and then turn it over to his associate, Kevin Langford.
Okay, am I on? Good. At the back? All right. What I need everybody to do is to take down these numbers. If you can please write them down. At least as far as I am concerned, this is the single most important thing that we are going to go through today. This is about making profit. And what I want at the end is for you all to be sending a check to my Swiss bank account. To be honest, this topic is far too big to cover in any genuine detail. We're going to go through it as quick as we can to give you some idea as to the things that you need to cover, but more importantly at the end, we're going to give some inspiration as to how this could be followed up at other sessions, and in particular more detail on individual topics, of which Kevin will be doing one, which is the customer loyalty. So repeating as to Julie, myself is Stephen Wingfield. I've been at BiCom Systems for 12 years, where I've been working with service providers such as yourselves. A little bit more about BiCom Systems to give you context as to where we have that experience. We were the first in 2004 to take Asterisk not as the product that, rather than product, not as the open source project that it was then, but with the purpose of creating a turnkey solution that was guided towards professional, warranted, commercial, and guaranteed to work. Since then, we've worked with hundreds of service providers around the world, helping them to increase their profit lines. If I can just ask across the audience, who here is starting in business? That tells us a lot as to how the world has moved on. Who would say that they're still at the growth stage, where they're beginning to build on the customers for the first time? And who is now looking increasingly to add value, to take that customer base and to get much more out of it, okay? Would any of you say that you've got an active strategy in place? Or is that something you haven't quite had the time to sit down and work out? All right, moving on. What we'll take you through are three sections. All the right bits in all the right places. That's to say the infrastructure you need, the softwares that you need. We'll then go through lubricating the process, how you take the entire company and you put the right resources in the right place that they link up, that you can move forward efficiently to make those greater profits. And getting the most of the satisfaction, making sure that you can get a higher value out of the contracts that you're dealing with the customers and that they stay loyal, that you retain them. The right bits. 4 parts, all of the components that are needed in that telecom puzzle, the importance of reliability and stability, but more importantly, how you ensure that you have that. Scalability. There is no point looking to grow if all of the pieces are not ready to support it. The need for the constant innovation, but also what's required. We've got there a Jenga image. Only too often we've worked with service providers where they had started, they'd fired up a few VPSs on a few different virtual servers, and they know that the structure is just about holding together, but they're spending more time keeping it there than they could be focusing on the rest of the business. An analogy we've used many times, telephony company is like a jigsaw puzzle. It's a telco in a box that needs all of those pieces linked and efficient. You need to find where your cost efficiency is in terms of your suppliers. You need all of those pieces to be fully compatible. But you still need to have that competitive edge, and we'll go on later as to how and where you find that. You need to make sure that the customers are remaining loyal. If you lose too much of your resource finding the customers, but then them not staying, again, you just will not progress. Of course, you need the core telephony to be working, you need the billing and the taxing, but you need security. One hack and your business could be gone. Then there is the unified communications that makes that difference at the point of sale, and increasingly you have issues such as mobility. Taking the stable products. To make and sustain a growing profit, you need those stable products. In-house testing, documentation, benchmarking, to release the testing in a controlled manner. But we found so often, unless you know all the way through to your kernel, problems arise that you just cannot identify. Redundancy, whether it's natural disaster, whether it's an act of terror, electricity failure, ideally that redundancy should be in 2 locations. Updates. Yes, as you bring all of the new products on, how are you going to distribute that? How are you going to explain it? Possibly you have resellers, otherwise to the end users, to the systems administrators. It needs a controlled process that takes the resource. Scalability. There is the infrastructure, but there's also the need to be constantly growing that product. Growing the company and making sure that the staff are trained, ready, where's that material coming from in order to train the staff. And knowing how to grow the market by giving the customers inspiration as to what can be coming next. So to be able to do that, it needs a constant research and an ongoing development, but you also need transparency. You need to make it clear to your partners what you're doing and to be able to show them the roadmap of what's going forward. Business mobility, collaboration. Increasingly, we're finding that the customers have the desktop tools, but they need to be able to share and work with other partners. Staff management. Those very tools that you have on the mobile phone allow you to see what your staff are doing, where your staff are operating. And that can be the difference at the point of sale that allows you to win that new business, but also to increase the value. CRMs, Google, Skype for Business integration, the list just keeps adding. As much as we talk about the technological advantages that are needed in order to win the sales and to add the value, ultimately, every business, organizational efficiency matters even more. Making sure that you have the excellent customer service and support, the marketing to assist it, and the sales assistance to increase profit, whether that's your own salesman directly with the customers or the training of reseller base. Trying to divide each of those segments into different parts so that each individual is specialized on one part, greeting the customers as they come in, making sure that a team is ready to deploy, and then following up and ensuring that the support is there, preferably that as a customer's phones go down, you're telling the customer before they're telling you. And that the finance and the admin and the marketing works efficiently. Why is that needed to the profit? Because if those parts don't, it's the salesman that gets trapped up and ends up having their time taken. So all the above are to support and remove the roadblocks for the account managers to let them do what they do best, to sell. Remove all those distractions from the account managers. Customer service. Closing the deal is just the beginning of that relationship. You need to be conveying a message of your success is our success and showing the productivity gains. Yes, you've given them a phone system. Yes, you've given them unified communications. But whether their business is a real estate agent, whether it's a dentist, showing them how those tools will make their day more efficient, more productive. That's their success, which becomes yours. Just from our own example, each of our partners are assigned a dedicated account manager for that support and advice. And we've made sure that the marketing materials are available, particularly for that building up of the reseller channels, both PDFs, videos, and PowerPoints. You need to be considering where your prospect sources come from, and that your sales staff are trained deeply. From our experience, you never know what the next customer wants. And that experience comes both from time, but also from training them. References, getting the referrals, occasionally firing the odd customer that is simply too needy, taking too much time. Building up of reseller channels. Okay, to the most satisfaction. Adding value features for a competitive edge. Custom solutions to win the next deal. Promotes productivity gain that we covered. But with the customer solutions, we found that because each customer is different, that they all want something extra. No matter how much you've put in place with your solution, it just needs one extra little bit that gives them the difference. And this is where you stand to differentiate yourself rather than just competing on price. Customer loyalty, again, the satisfaction, but Kevin will elaborate on that. So, features. This is where the selling point happens, where you can increase the price. Unified communications, automated billing, mobility, collaboration tools, integration, whether that's Zoho, Salesforce, Sugar, and the list keeps getting wider. And the productivity tools, taking our own unified communications. One simple thing we have is that while you're able to talk with somebody at an instance, if you feel frustrated that you're not understanding them, you can press one button, you can see their desktop, they can see yours. And so those custom solutions help to prevent you losing a sale. They guarantee that the customer gets exactly what they need. To take one example, we had a partner that we were working with, and their next deal depended upon being able to play the national anthem over the polycoms at 11 a.m. each morning. It was only the responsiveness that allowed them to guarantee closing that. Productivity gains are in all these areas, IVRs, CRMs, getting the callees to the right place at the right time, the CRM arriving as the call comes in, that you know instantly who you're talking to, what you're talking about. But explaining the ergonomics, depending on what solutions that you're providing, each little position and touch of that software could make a great difference to the day, particularly in call centers, of how their day pans out and the ease of use from hour to hour. Remote working, again, there could be considerable productivity gains rather than the customers, employees having to work their way through traffic each morning. Where to start? We have some other information which you're willing to share, and if you wish, we can send you this as to some further guides as to how to start your own ITSP. But moving on, Kevin. One thing that we were about to start, which is unrelated to our own business, but it's on LinkedIn, the Telco Service Provider Network. And the purpose was to invite telco service providers from all sorts of backgrounds to discuss these issues, but also to go through any one of them in far more detail than we'll get the opportunity to do now. And it's to that end that I'm going to introduce Kevin, and he'll continue with just one of the themes that we touched on, the customer loyalty.
get it to work. Thank you. Sorry, projector's a little finicky. Thanks, Stephen. Hi, everybody. My name is Kevin Langford, Director of Business Development with BiCom Systems. Been with the company now for 2.5 years. Before that, Director of IT for the Toronto Argonauts Football Club, the Canadian version of the NFL. And before that, many hats with TELUS Mobility, the Canadian equivalent to Nextel is Sprint. So, been with BiCom 2.5 years and growing customer base, and everyone's happy. So today what we're going to be talking about is the importance of customer loyalty, the consequences of customer churn, and how to increase customer loyalty. One thing I can say, I do see a handful of my customers here, and well, I'm speaking about this because it's true. I offer second to none customer service. They believe it, and it's one thing I want to share with you guys on how I do to help you guys get a little bit better. The importance of customer loyalty. Winning a new customer is probably your primary goal. If you don't keep those customers long term, what's the point? And I'm going to use this reference many times, and I apologize, but it's one of the things that someone taught me years ago. 4 steps forward and 3 steps back. The amount of energy you've gained for those 4 customers, great, but you just lost 3. Work with what you have. While a new big sale feels impressive to the budget, security comes and forms the month-to-month payment, that reoccurring that you want and keep. So that way you're going to make sure you keep your customers satisfied and happy with you. Successful telecom needs solid and loyal customer base. Doesn't do you any good. Like I said, you bring on 4, you lose 3. Consequences of customer churn, high cost of remarketing. You got to keep pumping marketing collateral out there, advertising, word of mouth, conferences, a lot of time and money and effort and energy. Reduced business growth, loss of revenue, loss of profit, damaged reputation. The word gets out there really easily about negative about someone, and unfortunately the positive is very scarce. Customer has problems with you, they'll share that with about 10 or 15 of their friends. Positives, we all know, don't really come across. It's always the negative, the bad news. How to increase customer loyalty? Well, we're making it easy for you in 5 topics. Provide a complete solution, ask and inform, customer service that goes above and beyond. Custom solutions to solve problems and keep up with the trends. Or I like to say, it's great keeping up with the Joneses, but you don't want to keep up with them. You want to be ahead of them. Moving on. To provide a complete solution. Why should you provide a complete solution? If you provide one piece of your customer's solution, they'll not be fully committed to you. They can make a decision to switch providers for any reason. The more offers that you have to them, the more products that they have, the more anchors under the ground that you have with them, the harder it would be for them to pick up and go away. Compatibility with other providers, better pricing that you have. So I use McDonald's as an analogy. You got a Big Mac, you got a large fry, and you got a large drink. Add those up, you got one price. Put them in a combo, it's cheaper. Bundle up your services to your customers. Offer more. Granted, you'll take a little bit of a cut on the top, but you'll have a customer for life. Harder them, provide a complete solution. Why should you provide a complete solution? Actually, we just covered this. There we go. Complete solution. If you provide all the pieces, your customers will fully commit to you and to your company and to your solutions. They will have no compatibility issues, no sales pitches, or if they're loyal to you, they'll just not listen to that guy calling trying to sell something. They'll just fluff them off. A package, not a piece. Back to the Big Mac combo. More things that you have, the more they'll stick with you. You got telephony, you got unified communications, you got a mobility client, CRM package, managed services. Now, offsite backup, email, managed IT, all the different options that you can offer out there, I would highly recommend you guys do that. More anchors into the ground. Ask, inform, Aspire. Know your customer. They're not just a number. Those customers of mine that are here can speak. I don't look at them as a number. I look at them as a friend, as a colleague, and as a customer. Ask your customer what they need. If you do not ask, you will not know. Anybody here take Mind Reading 101 in school? Anybody bring a crystal ball? We're on the same floor. Ask your customer. If you don't know, you don't ask, you'll never know. Inform them what you have, what your company is developing. This will get them excited and inspire them to continue committing to your company. Joe's Plumbing wants a certain feature. Joe's Plumbing wants this. Joe's Plumbing wants that. When you're in the process of developing it, speak to them about it. Get their feedback about it, because maybe their industry you're not familiar with. Maybe there's things that they can give you ideas for that 4 more of Joe's Plumbing out there would like that feature, so you can then approach them after it's built and developed. Customer service goes above and beyond. Excellent customer service means more than just responding to customer problems. Keep your customers around for years. Ensure they are happy and consistently happy, not just after a problem is solved. Not only that, each call does not have to be a sales call. Just call them up. Hey, how was your weekend? What'd you do? How's your daughter? How's everything? Because if they see that every time you speak with them, you're trying to shove product down their throat, or try to sell them this or try to sell them that, they're not going to be there to pick up the phone. Have a personal conversation with them. Have a little bit of fun. Crack a joke. In the IT world, it's pretty stressful. Having someone on the other end of the phone cracking a joke, putting a smile on their face, they'll thank you for it in the long run. Building customer relationship. Assign an account manager to each customer. They should absolutely be on a first name basis with at least one person in that company. That way there, if you got problems with the finance department not paying their bill, or one of their techs just decided to chew out one of your engineers, at least you can call them and say, hey, Bob, can you do me a favor, reach out to finance, what's going on? Or, hey, Bob, your tech just chewed out one of my engineers for no reason. Can you do me a favor and speak with them, please? Reduce attrition. 4 steps forward, 3 steps back. Stop the leaking ship. Cultivate the customers that you currently have. The ones that you have, work with them, grow with them, find out what they want, what they have. It's easy. It takes less effort to keep an existing customer happy than it is to dig up and find and plant a new one. Building the customer relationships. Don't wait for your customer to contact you. Reach out to them before they have a problem. Their account manager should check into them as often to see how everything is going. The quiet ones typically disappear. You have customers out there that have issues with their voice quality. You have 2 different types of customers, really. The ones that will call you up and give you an earful, and the ones that will say absolutely nothing to you, get fed up one day, and pack up and go to somewhere else. Having that open dialogue with that customer, having an open communication with them where they can call you and say, hey, Kevin, I got this problem. You can then react to it before it's too late and you just lost a customer. Offer advice and tools. Account managers should have their experience and expertise with their customers to help them grow their business, whether it means suggesting a marketing campaign a few times a year, or coaching them through a problem, or maybe they're having a problem with your tech support team, or whatever. Work with them. Not only a customer, look at them as a friend as well. Don't ever, ever, ever bullshit a customer. If you drop the ball, admit it. If you mess something up, admit it. If you break something, admit it. If your system went down, admit it. They will respect you more for being honest. BSing them will cause problems, and they'll be upset more once they find out the truth. Back to the Argos. Back to the Argos. Jim Barker, general manager and head coach. We had a problem with the server one day. I tried to cover it up. Big mistake. He pulled me aside. Kev, you make a problem, something goes wrong. Come to me, man up. Tell me something blew up. Tell me something went wrong. I will work with you. I will have your back 150%. But if you BS me, I'll just throw you in the shredder and feed you to the dogs. Don't BS your customer. Be honest with them. Custom solutions to custom solutions to solve problems, not to provide problems. You don't want those. Custom solutions are crucial to customer retention. If you don't have what they need, they will find a provider that has it. Advertise your willingness to create custom solutions. Your customers may not think to ask you. Again, open dialogue, open conversation. How was your weekend? Maybe that'll just pop up out of the sky. Make sure they know the service is there and you can provide, and the previous solutions and case studies. Hey, did you know we did XYZ for Bob's Plumbing and you're talking to Jake's Plumbing or Jake's Baths or whatever. Name dropping can be a good thing and also a dangerous thing. Play it accordingly. Mitigating the problems. Work with them to find a solution. Don't pawn it off. Be engaged. Find out what the problems are. Work with them to fix it. By spending time with your customer and making an effort to understand and appreciate their business, you will earn their loyalty. Know who they are. Know a little bit about them and their family. Know about their staff. Engage with them. Even if the end solution is not perfect, they will remember your effort. So when something does go wrong, they will remember, hey, you know what? He was there for me. Keep up with the new trends. Staying ahead of the market is the final step to customer retention. Any solution becomes antiquated at some point, especially in today's world of the ever-advancing technology. One of my first jobs, I was a pizza guy. My boss said, Kevin, if you always do what you always did, you're always going to get what you always got. Status quo is not what we are nowadays. You have to stay ahead of the Joneses. It's important to stay informed about the newest technologies. You need to know what's out there because if you fall asleep at the wheel, your competitor is just going to drive right by you. Watch your competition. Keep them in your eyes. Keep a radar. See what they're doing. Advertise to their news, to their blogs and the stuff they send out. That'll help you stay ahead of them. Let your customers know when you're developing something that is new. This will both entice excitement and let them know that they're not just shopping around for a piece. In other words, that feature that they might like, that you just built for Joe's Plumbing, that Bob's Plumbing, might like. For example, a few years ago, a solution with telephony and billing tools could have been considered complete. Today, the lack of mobility could lead a customer elsewhere. If you don't have what they need, they'll go elsewhere, they'll find it. Whether that means leaving you as their provider completely or adding new vendors to their portfolio, you got to keep your customers happy. Disjointed solutions work poorly. Duct tape is a beautiful thing. Nails and staples and screws are. But your solution should not be based off of that. It should be concrete. Maybe your company has all the pieces, but they are scattered, not clearly unified. It is vital to tie them together in a concise package for your customers. For example, our unified communications Glowcom or communicator, desktop and mobility application. Where to start? Now it's important to the customer retention and the steps to take forward where we get started. On our website, we got information about how to grow from start to finish, or if you're already there, about an ITSP. If you got a few minutes, check it out. Go to our website and check it out. Contact us, bicomsystems.com, sales@bicomsystems, or kevin@bicomsystems.com. We got our case studies, we got blogs, back to the white paper, and 5 ways to retain a customer. And Steve was mentioning the Telecom Service Provider Network. Check it out. A lot of back and forth. Share ideas, experiences, suggestions. Questions?
Not necessarily just to us. Also, maybe there's a question that you'd be as interested to hear what others have to say about it from the floor.
Actually, this presentation is going to be made available somewhere through the
Yeah,
Astrocon.
but also if you leave us a card, we can send them to you in person. Where was it you wanted? All right, I mean, for as long as any of us wish to stay here, but if I ask the question, what is the one item that's causing you the most anxiety? Maybe anyone want to start by giving their opinion, and then we can add some other opinions.
Hiring good techs. No, that's it.
Yeah.
The hardest part is finding good, reliable employees.
Where do you look?
Indeed, I've gotten referrals a couple of times, but
It's surprised me how often.
I'm learning that ITs are you really got to love being in the trenches to want to work in the field. I enjoy it, I guess most people here do, but some people are like, oh, no, this isn't the thing for me. Just sharing, that's all.
It surprised me how many partners we've had here in the States where, because as you said, finding the IT staff, so often they have 1-2 staff that are somewhere in Europe. But just because they needed to look that far in order to find what they wanted.
Along the same lines with IT staff is you could look at someone's experience all day long and they say, yeah, they work for this company, and it's really true to find out what they do in their spare time. Like in my spare time, I'm like full on geek. Like I'll build projects with Arduinos and program and things like that. So if people are into it that much that they'll do it at home, do it on the weekends, it's interesting to find that out during the interview process, to find like good people. So that's on par with the people who do it for a career versus a lifestyle.
Exactly.
Good
And not
data.
only that, one thing I can say is once you do have that tech, don't ever let them go. Keep them happy. Do what you have to.
Yeah. Friends and family, referrals, that sort of thing. Like people you know and you've worked with, and like you understand their skills and their personality. Like personality, I find is a huge thing. Like you could have a super skilled IT tech, and if you clash, it's not good. But anyway.
I mean, trying to push the conversation along at the product level, is there an item out there that you're hearing that's causing you to lose deals because you didn't have it? I don't know, Skype for Business? Is there? Okay. Are you finding that you're losing a sale because of one recurrent item? Is it that you're coming up against Ring Central time and time again, or is it that it's the next customer wants Skype for Business, for example?
In my case, I lost the sale because I didn't appropriately tell them what my system could do versus a competitor selling it on another on-prem PBX for, I'm guessing several thousand cheaper, but we were talking about like an $11,000 system. I was putting good phones because I knew what they wanted, but I didn't stress that. I didn't say, hey, look, I'm giving you these phones, this is what you told me you need. Looking back, there's so many other things I could have said. So really, it was an inadequate sales process.
Big thing in the sales process is talking to the right people. I had a, yeah.
I mean, that was part of the purpose of that LinkedIn group,
Yeah.
to carry this on another time.
But in terms of like the customer or the prospect, like a friend of mine was a director for a small youth, not really that small, but multiple office youth group nonprofit, and he loved our offering. He loved our prices. And we did the demo, and he's blown away. And he says, "Let me get back to you." And then he talked to his bosses, and they're like, "I don't know about this whole VoIP thing. Kind of want to stick with copper." And we lost the whole thing to a guy who just went in and put in like an NEC system, and it was like more expensive than what we had, and it was keeping their old technology. So what we should have done looking back at it was make sure we schedule a meeting with the decision makers. not the person who's like going to be talking to the decision makers. I think that would have worked.
Only quick comment to that is have a chat with that person at first. You're in. That way there he can be that little bug in that decision maker's ears. And then you bring the decision maker to the table as well. Because I've done it in the past where I said, well, why don't you bring the person as well there? And he feels at that point in time. Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you, everybody.
Right. Thank you all.